Hi guys, welcome to Hither Green TMD in O-Gauge video update. Mr. Messy here, according to the t-shirt anyway, and the wife probably won't disagree. Where are we up to? What has been going on? Well, to be basically honest, nothing. Since the last video arrived, you know that the sound chip has come back for the 08, and I've just been playing with that. Why not? Just shunting my grandpa's wagons in and out the shed, just generally playing. Not that there's a lot of playability at the moment, but it's kept me occupied and I've enjoyed it. The project bits so far, so I've shaved the doors on the 09, the hinges off, and the rivet detail ready for converting the body side doors to the pressed steel type. Ready to convert to the 09. 60s are still waiting transfers and bits and pieces. That's where we are with that. I now have some drivers around, wandering around the layout. Need to sort out some more stuff for the depot. Postman has been for the yob. I have some bits and pieces arrived in the post to improve playability. And that should be the subject of the next video, hopefully. The reason I haven't done much to the layout is I've had to do some house repairs, garden repairs. The retic system of the garden's been springing some leaks over the last few weeks and been using way too much water, and that's quite expensive here in Australia. I've also booked the flights and car hire for when we come back for a little holiday back to the UK in the near future. Visit to Hatton's is on the cards, possibly tower models. We'll see how it goes when we head back to the UK, see what imminent releases are about. But despite the shortage of cash, now from my depleted bank account, I've sneaked in a couple of bits of wood. Hopefully the wife won't notice them on the page. Bank statements rather than payslip, bank statements. We'll be able to get on with making the pits today, and that is the subject of today's video. I'm not going to do a step-by-step videoing the whole lot, but I'll do some short bits and pieces that you can see what is going on, and then we'll have another bit of video at the end. So I'll just go get all my bits together and we'll make a start and make some pits. So I have now cut the wood up into shorter pieces as is usual. I haven't got enough wood. I've got 4 lengths now that are, as you can see, the side walls for the pit. And enough to do 2. The short one will have to wait. It's not that I necessarily mismeasured, but this was all that Bunnings had in this size of 30mm by 8mm. So today's job will only be 2 pits, which means again I'm going to have to wait till later to finish off. So anyway, that is the tops done. The sides done. So what is next is the pit floors on Hither Green were sort of up and down to allow for a runoff of water into the drains. So now I'm going to be replicating that. I'm going to be starting at the end here, cutting to the edge, cutting up, cutting down and cutting up again. Not that much, but I shall go and draw it out, and then I shall have to transpose the same drawing onto the other 3 pieces. So it's not an exact science. I'll take my glasses off so I can see close up. I'm just going to go for 5mm that end and 5mm 5 that end. I get my long rule and join the dots. So you can now see the line all the way along. So we're at 1 metre and a few centimetres, so I'm going to go at 52, 26, 78, because we're 104 long, so each second instead of being 25, 50, 75, 100, I've got to add a centimetre on each, so it keeps it even. So we now go mark to the edge. And we now make a wavy line along the bottom of the pitch by going from the inside line to the outside edge, and from the outside edge back in. You don't have to do this. This is completely not necessary, but it's something I just want to put in. These pits have no lighting or anything like that, so there's not a lot to see. There'll just be a plain, boring rectangular box, so it's just to add a bit of extra visual interest, because there's nothing else to see. It's just going to be dirty painted walls. So measure once, check twice and all that, so we'll do that again. Okay, there we go, get the right line, it helps. So now I have the down to the drain, up to the middle of the pit, down to the drain again, and up to the end. This will come clearer once I've cut this out, so I shall take this outside with my jigsaw and I'll cut it out and I'll come back. So having now trimmed that down, hopefully you can see the highs and the low parts of the pit wall. So that'll become the bottom, so there will be some high and low parts of the pit. So we now got to transfer that onto all of these, but to keep them all the same way round, to make sure that everything will line up, we just need to know which end is the same end. So I could be lazy and just draw around, but that could mean I exaggerate any slight errors as I go. So I shall again do it properly with the rule, mark them out and cut the other three. Okay, so now I have all four sides with the wavy edge line and one with a mistake. I started to cut down the straight line before I realised what line I was following. Not the end of the world, because once I've got the bottoms on, I'll just fill it with some filler and you won't know it's there because we're going to paint over it and weather everything. So although it's a mistake, it's not a disaster. So we now have the four sides of the pit. None of them are exactly the same. They're close enough. But once I've got the bottoms on, as long as the top is level, they're close enough, we're good to go. So what we now need to do is work out how wide the bottom of the pit needs to be. So I'm just going to confirm these are supposedly 8mm wide. Well, they're 7.5. 7.5. They're nowhere near the 8mm that they're supposed to be, but no, that doesn't matter. So if we say 7.5mm, I need the inside face to be within the sleeper area, so that the chairs, which I have the individually chairs will fit. Now I need to make sure that the pit is as close as possible to the width between the base plates of the chairs, which according to this is 25mm. So I need to make the pit base a minimum of 40mm, so I've got to add the 15 for the two sides. So then if I can get that nice and straight and get the sides stuck on vertically and at the correct distance apart, then all I need to do with the chairs is to follow the inside edge of the pit. So I'm now going to go and find two strips 40mm wide and see if I can make the base of the pits. Back shortly. Okay, I'm back from a little trip to Bunnings. Worked out that being 40mm wide meant that it's going to be easier to buy some proper wood than to try and cut hardboard to make the base. So I bought two lengths of 40mm wide wood to form the bottom of the pit carcass. So we'll have one side on there and the other side on there. And what I also bought, although longer lengths, so I can't have it on the board here in a minute, is two lengths of strip wood, which will make the two edges of the pit on which the chairs and the rail will mount. Hopefully these bits of wood will help to keep the thing square and straight. So the first job that I'm going to do is trim down the lengths of strip wood for the top of the pit. I'm then going to bring them back in here and then we'll glue and pin it on the top edges of the pits. Righty-ho then, so that is the strip wood all now cut to length to go on the tops of there. As you can see, we're slightly bowed on the side piece of wood, so this hopefully will bring it all in line. So the first thing I'm going to do with my pin vise is drill a few holes along close to the edge for me to put the pin in. So one, when I put it in, it won't split the wood, and two, it'll hold the pin while I nail it in. That's the plan. So I'll just get my pin vise. Okay, with my pin vise I'm just going to give just some holes through. Doesn't take that long, all the way through, just every now and again. I could use my Dremel, but it's just going to be noisy and make a load of dust and dirt and it's going to fly around. Whereas this is clean and quiet, good on the ears. I'm not doing these at any particular distance, but just every now and again. Okay, now we have them on. We'll stick it on the first board. So I'll get my panel pins and the glue. First thing I'm going to do is get the pins ready in strip wood. Ready for tapping home. Easy as that. And now with my PVA glue, some along the top, make sure it's the top edge. There's glue all the way along. Find my hammer. That didn't go quite to plan because I'd set the camera to photo rather than video, but you didn't see me attach it. It's quite self-explanatory. So the straight edge is now the inside edge of the pit, and that will sit in this side. And what we'll now make is the one keeping the ends the same way round, which is why we marked them, goes in there. I've got this piece ready to attach onto there. So again, quick bead of PVA glue. You don't need a million gallons of the stuff. Place the strip, making sure the orientation on what side of the wood we want it to be is the correct side, and with my hammer keeping this front face flush. Not that you can see, I'm too far up close. That's it, so that's nice and flush. I'll do this one, get that flush. And this one, flush. And this one. I could use a bigger hammer, but it depends. I've got to go and find one, so we'll use this one. It's my track hammer. And there we have it. So we now have both sides of the pit. And if you see there, they orientated the same way around to make a pair. So I think you can see where we're going with it now, and I will now do the other two off camera because you definitely don't need to see them all. Right, done all four, so we now have two pairs of pit side walling. Now I'm going to correct my own grammar in English here because I made up a word. I use the phrase correctly orientated. Now that is a word that I've made up, it appears, and as soon as I said it I knew it was wrong. We have to make sure they have the correct orientation, is what I meant to say, to ensure that we had two pairs with the same end as we marked out earlier, to ensure that they were the same way round, to ensure that as much as practical the wavy lines are at the same space across. So anyway, I now have two pairs of pit walls which are currently upside down, and now I have to fit on top to complete the pit. Now as you recall, is now the correct width. However, because the wood I'm now going to use is thicker than the hardboard, I'm going to cut these into sections from the end to the peak and the same to the dip, each one into 4 pieces, and then I shall glue them on. I'm not going to pin them at this time. I'll do that after they've glued partly to make sure they've gone off. Now I'm going to have to move everything off of here because I can't guarantee how true and flat and level everything is. So I'm going to have to make some room on the workbench, reposition over there, and we'll take it from there. Right guys, to get these the right width I need 25mm between the top corners of the pit. So how I'm going to ensure as close as is practical, I'm going to lay down 3 pieces of Tamiya masking tape. Because I don't want to draw on the bench. Or I can put down 3 or 4. We'll see how it goes. And at the end here. Excellent. Right. So with my tape measure, I'm going to just measure in roughly 3 centimetres at that end. 3 centimetres at that end. My straight edge of my metre rule. One line, 2 line, 3 lines, 4 lines. So that will be one edge. 25mm from there, 10-25, and the same at this end, 10-25, double check, measure twice, cut once, as it were. Line there. Draw with these retractable pencils. It's better. Line there. Line there. And line there. So I'll just double check that there. 25. Yep. So I can lay one on there, and I'll go up a bit further. Make it 170 from the edge. And 70 from the edge. Line up. $25 at this end. The object of the exercise is to try and get this as straight and square as possible, so that when it's on the baseboard everything is true for when I lay the rails on the top. So what we now do is line up level with the end, level with the lines. A bit more room at this end. 25mm apart. Not being on stuff, I just need more room. Need more room. So that means that is now laying flat and square. They're both the same way around. So there's one. Here is the other two, which I will lay on these other lines, the first set. Excuse me while I move you on the tripod a touch. Tripod's in there. So, line them up. It's as accurate as I need them. Square as is required. Beautiful. So now I have the two edges of the bits on. So I'm now going to get ready to glue these on the bottom. But because it's going up and down, I'm going to have to cut it piece this long to go on the end here, and a piece to go in there, a piece there, and a piece at the end. So I'm going to go away, I'm going to cut this into 4 and do the same with this one. Now I did make them all the same length, so I'm just going to double check before I go away and cut. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so now I have 8 pieces of pit floor, and they will just be glued straight on there. Wherever they lie, they don't need to be exact like that. Once the glue's gone off, I shall then pin them in and then fill the gaps afterwards. So here we go. PVA glue. Sensible amount. Double check the alignment. Like I say, it's the top is what we need to be accurate, not the bottom. So that is where I need it. That is both sides on the line. We'll just gently place them on like that. I think you can see how we're doing. there's the first pit. And now we repeat it with the other one. Concentration. Right, so that's that. So again, readjust to make sure it's at the correct width before I place everything on. That's all good. I'm going to leave these for a couple of hours just to make sure everything is gluing nicely. I'll have to clean out inside the pits later on, but the important thing at the minute is to ensure everything is in place. I'm not worried about the pitfalls being lopsided or anything like that. Because some of it you're not going to see anyway. There we go. Job's done. Well, when I look down them, they look like pits, upside down pits. So we'll leave this to dry for a couple of hours and we'll come back and see how we're looking. Right guys, we're back and we now have two pits. I've had to adjust the width with the Dremel, with a sanding drum on the side, because they were too wide slightly to go in the hole. These weren't made to accept 40mm wide wood. They were just roughly cut at 40mm. I was expecting to use thinner pieces of wood for the pit, but doesn't matter, no worries. Just get out the Dremel with the sanding drum on and take the edge off. So there we have. We now have, Hither Green has two pits, still got one short one to make, but they sitting there nicely. I've got to adjust the height slightly, pack them up, because we're going to have rail with chairs, no sleepers on this part, although we will still have the sleepers on the end here. So there we go. The depot is moving on, and any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.